That's a bunch of malarkey.
Yes, as you say, John, everything is bigger in Texas, including, it seems, the power blackouts. 4 million people have lost power at some points during this winter storm you describe. But Fox News has their own theory about what's going on here.
So, unbeknownst to most people, the Green New Deal came to Texas. The power grid in the state became totally reliant on windmills. Then it got cold and the windmills broke, because that's what happens in the Green New Deal. You're without power. Millions are still without power tonight. Several have died. Now, the same energy policies that have wrecked Texas this week are going nationwide. They're coming to your state.
Yes, who knew that the Green New Deal was literally implemented in the super red state of Texas under President Trump?
I missed that.
And now, but wait, it's gone and killed people, the Green New Deal. Now, that might sound like a cable news beat-up, but no, the Texas governor is right on board.
Sean, this shows how the Green New Deal would be a deadly deal for the United States of America.
Deadly deal. Sounds like a Steven Seagal movie.
And not a good one either.
No, none of them are. Unfortunately, no one told the people who actually run the electricity grid in Texas, because they say the primary cause of the power outages appear to be Texas's natural gas providers. This is not to say that the windmills coped well in the cold, but 16 gigawatts of renewable energy is offline compared to 30 gigawatts of gas, coal and nuclear energy. But importantly, the reason why the gas outages are more of an issue is because no one expects wind power to operate in the middle of winter in Texas. Only 7% of Texas's forecasted winter capacity is expected to come from wind power. It's for summer. And that is ironically why wind generation actually exceeded the grid operators' expectations this week. Unsurprisingly though, solar power underperformed during the snowstorm.
Yeah.
And if you want proof it's not wind power's fault, similar power outages occurred during a winter storm in 2011, and renewable energy then constituted less than 4% of Texas's electrical capacity. Let's depoliticize all of this. Everything in Texas is designed for heat, not snowstorms. Windmills, pipelines, nuclear power facilities, the grid, everything's designed for heat. If you want to winter-proof windmills, you can. Turbines in the Arctic Circle work in temperatures as low as minus 30 degrees Celsius. And I haven't even started on the creaky electrical grid, which is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, look, they always said, you know, a jumbo jet doesn't crash because one thing goes wrong, it crashes because 10 things go wrong. At least 10 things went wrong in Texas this week. But highest among them is the fact that where the natural gas is piped to the electric power stations to generate electricity for base load power in Texas, that was the point that failed. And because of regulations in the state, the gas was prioritised to homes, which made sense because people needed to keep warm, but it meant that the power became very unstable. So they had these sort of rolling scheduled blackouts, as well as the forced blackouts because of failure of infrastructure. And this was a storm that affected the entire state at once. And as you say, it's not designed to deal with snow in Texas, it's designed to deal with hurricanes. And they tend to be a lot more localised. And the other thing, of course, is with Texas, it is unique in that it is effectively a nation unto itself when it comes to its power. Highly diversified power. It's got nuclear power, it's got wind, it's got solar, it's got a bit of wave, and it's got gas-fired. And all of this is meant to be its own kind of redundancy, but what they don't have is a connection to the national grid. So when their system suddenly became unstable, they couldn't say, hey, Colorado or Louisiana, can we buy some of your electricity? They don't have it. And why don't they have it? Because as soon as you plug into a neighbouring state, that cord that goes across state lines means you are subject to federal regulation. And when you're subject to federal regulation, suddenly Washington is telling you things like, those windmills of yours, they need to be winterised, just in case there's a once-in-a-30-year snowstorm, and they'll freeze up. You can do, so there are lots of things that have happened here. And of course, there are the inevitable debates about, well, what do we have to do? This is going to be more frequent with climate change and everything else. That too is a bit of malarkey. The science is not settled on whether the way that the polar vortex is coming down into the US is related to climate change or not. That has not been established. So even climate scientists will tell you that it could well be, but that is still very much up in the air. So this isn't necessarily even about climate change. It's about regulation, it's about redundancy, and it's also about a once in a 35-year cold snap.
Either way, it's not about windmills. That is malarkey.